Hey guys, welcome back. You ever wonder how or why employers discriminate against your age and they're not allowed to? Well, let me tell you something. They do it every day. And you know how they do it? They use your resume. Let's get into it. Now, first and foremost, the HR department for a company is not on your side. Let me tell you, it is completely on the company's side. The reason for HR is to protect the company. That is the only reason why the HR department exists, okay? And how do they do that? How do they protect the company? Well, they deal with human resource issues, obviously, personnel, and so on and so forth. And one of the things that you need to be aware of when it comes to HR is age. Okay, now by federal law, they cannot discriminate against age. However, it's very easy to do so. All they have to do is look at your resume and throw it in the garbage. Okay? When the minute you put any date on your resume, whether it's a college degree, the date you got it, they know your age for the most part. Okay, they can do the math and they know that you were 20 years old or whatever when you got a degree, and they'll just backtrack from where it is today. Okay, like me, I got a degree in 2002, okay, and it's 2025. That means I've been working for 25 years, okay? Now, the reason I'm doing this video, okay, is not to really talk about HR. It's to help you understand HR a little bit, but to help you understand that you have only so much time on this planet to work a day job, okay? And the way I'm looking at it is you have 25 years to make what you need to make to retire on, okay? Now, what do I mean by that? From the age of 20 years old to 25, that is your opportunity to build a skill set. All right, you got about 5 to 7 years, somewhere in between there, from the time you're 18 to 25 to build your craft, to build your skill set, okay? And then when you turn 25, around there, okay, 25, 26, you're now able to make some real money for a company, okay? If you work for a company and you're 22, you're probably losing money for the company for the most part, okay? That's just how it works. You don't have the experience or the skills for the most part, all right? So be aware of that. So what does that mean? Well, from the age of 25 to about the age of 50 is your opportunity to make as much money as you can for 9-to-5 jobs, okay? And while you're doing that, you have to position yourself and make moves in your career, okay? Also make moves in the markets and grow your wealth. And you got 25 years to do so because your end date for employment is coming soon, all right? When you turn around 50, 52, 55 years old, you're getting to that stage where HR is going to throw out your resume, okay? And there's a couple of reasons why that is. Number one, and this is the big one, is money. Okay, when you get around the age of 45 to 50, you're in the prime of your career. You're making the prime money when it comes to working for employers. And now, at the age of 50 to 55, you're making too much. All right, you're making too much money, and they don't want to hire someone off the streets making, you know, whatever, 120,000, 140,000, 160,000, whatever it is. Even $80,000, guys, to a company is a lot of money, okay? Maybe you've worked up all your skills for those 25 years to get to 80K because there's lots of different jobs. There's blue collar, white collar, whatever collar it is, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, when you get up there in age, it's going to hurt you, that price, okay, that you need to live. Because at 50 years old, you typically probably have a family to feed. You probably have a high house payment. You probably have a need for higher end vehicles, so on and so forth. You've upgraded your life so much that you need those type of salary requirements. In most HR departments, they don't want to deal with that, okay? Unless you have some extremely unique skills that you can sell to a company, you know, be aware of that, okay? So your salary is the number one reason why employers will throw out your resume, okay? Reason number 2, your health, okay? Employers have to pay a premium for health insurance, okay? And they know the older you get, the more problems you're gonna have. When you get into your 50s and 60s, we start to have a little bit more problems, okay? So health is a huge reason why employers will take that automated resume system and probably put in a parameter and throw out the resume, to be honest. Unless, again, you have a unique skill that cannot be replaced really easily, okay? And then probably reason number 3 is your skills, okay? Your skills, after being in an industry for 20, 25 years, you get used to what it is you do on a daily basis, and you fall behind. You fall behind technology, and you fall behind, ways the world works, okay? The younger folks coming in, they communicate in a different way. And in 25 years, it's gonna be the same thing. You think, the people who are 20 think today that everything is gonna remain the same, but they're wrong. Okay, in 25 years, you will be an old dinosaur and you will not be following the technologies and the communication standards of today. You'll get used to the ways you work, to be honest. So be aware of this. You got a 25-year window to make it, guys, to make the money you need to make to kind of set yourself up for retirement, okay, by the time you're 50 or 60. That's the honest truth. Now, when it comes to blue collar, the problem is, you can't do the work anymore. You've got physical ailments, okay? If you're a plumber, it's gonna be harder to get under that sink. You might be able to only do 5 jobs a day when you turn 50, 55 versus 10, okay? Now, if you're good with your experience, you might be able to make up for that, or you become a supervisor and you know how to supervise everyone doing the plumbing jobs or the roofing jobs. That typically is how things work when it comes to blue collar. You start to supervise people. But still, that money, that salary is going to come into play, okay? You still probably need to do some odds and end jobs here and there because, people in your crew will quit on you, okay? So you got to be aware of that. Blue collar, white collar, this applies to both, okay? You're going to get outdated over time. That's the reality of things. That's what I'm seeing as I'm 45 years old. I'm in the prime of my career, making probably the most money I will ever make, unless I just somehow jump ahead and make a new, level in my career, but that's easier said than done. And those jobs are very small as far as the amount that are out there. There's only so many CTOs. There's only so many supervisors when it comes to blue collar work. The job market becomes smaller in general, okay? And so the reason why, again, I'm talking about this is that during these 25 years that you have, okay, from age 25 to 50, and even earlier than that, if you can do this, when you're 18 to 25, is you gotta save your money. You gotta save and invest. And you gotta grow as much money as you can, okay? So that way, when you're 50 years old and you're struggling to find a job, because employers lay off all the time. That's what they do. They recycle the labor pool, all right? They get rid of the old and bring in the new. You guys know that, okay? So when they do that, now it's harder for you to find a job, all right? And so what you're gonna have to do is when you're 50, you're gonna have to rely on some of that income you saved and to have kind of a second income from money, okay? Money will generate money for you. And then that way you can take a lower pay cut, all right? You can take a pay cut to a completely different job or whatever it is that you want to do. Now, it's going to be harder. Obviously, you still might have expenses, but you got to start lowering all your expenses as well. All your debts. You can't be having high car payments when you're turning 50 years old. You can't be having super high mortgage payments either. I put myself in a position right now where I have a high mortgage payment and I'm close to turning 50. So I've got to realize that, and I'm going to get that house payment down, not the payment, but I'm going to get that principal down to where I can almost pay it off, maybe in 5, maybe 10 years. Okay, I'm going to give myself 10 years to make prime money between the age of 45 and 50. Okay, that's what I'm hoping to do. And I'm assuming that after the age of 55, I'm going to have to take a lower paying job, or I don't know, maybe have to retire. I don't know exactly, because in 10 years, everything's going to change. You know, I'm not up to date with all these AI tools that are out there that all the young bucks are using these days, like for coding and all that. You know, so these are the things you got to think about. And in 25 years, it's all going to change again. All right. And people who have been in the workforce for 25 years, they're going to struggle. Okay. So you got this window of opportunity and you got to take advantage of it. However, you got to do it. Save 6%, save 10%. I would go towards saving 10% of your income towards retirement, and even siphon off maybe 2% for non-retirement accounts that you can invest in as well, because it's nice to have the liquidity when you're 50 years old, because you can't tap into the 401k. Okay, it's hard to tap into retirement accounts because you get penalized and taxed. Okay, so this is the thing you got to think about. Okay, you got 25 years, guys. That's about all you got to make the most money you can and position yourself to where you can kind of ease off into the sunset when you turn 50, 55, that kind of thing. You know, and then when you get to 62, 65, you can start dipping into Social Security and your retirement. You know, you can start dipping into that 401k or whatever. But employers, guys, with those automated electronic resume systems, they're reading the dates. And they're reading the amount of experience on that resume. The more you got, the more expensive you're going to be. And they're going to be just throwing them out. And, you know, you see on all these social media platforms where people are complaining about not being able to get an interview, it's because employers are throwing it out by date. And there's no way for the government to regulate this. They're not able to go into these electronic systems and know how resumes are being purged left and right. And I'm telling you, it's being purged by age for the most part. So just be aware of that. Position yourself in your 20s, 30s, and 40s for this inevitability. The 50 is going to be a lot harder to keep improving your income and keep having a good job in general. So hopefully you guys like this type of content. If you do, like and subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. And take a look at my previous video. And everyone have a great day. Thanks.